Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hayo. Thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time on this channel, you're definitely welcome. Do well to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you get to see more of my content. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this overlap dress with smoked waist. And without further ado, let's get started. So guys, this is the material that we're going to use for this tutorial, and this is a soft crepe material, and right here I have around 3 yards of this material, and if you're buying in trouser, that is equivalent to 2.5 trouser, and this is okay and enough for an average size. And to get started, we are going to go ahead and draft a basic bodice. Okay, I've done this severally on this channel, but because of beginners among us, I'm just going to go ahead and do it again. So right here I have my paper on fold, as you can see here, and the next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead and draw the starting line. I'll just create a straight line, and that's on that straight line, that is going to be our start line. And right here on this straight line, which is also our shoulder line, I'll just go ahead and indicate our shoulder measurement divided by 2, and in this case it is 7.5. so I'll indicate that, and I'm going to add half an inch for seam allowance that we're going to use later on. Okay, so I just indicated that, and the next thing I'm just going to do is to go ahead and indicate other vertical lines like the bust point and also the under bust point. And the next thing I'll do is just to go ahead and create a straight line on those points that I just indicated. I'll also go ahead and indicate shoulder to the chest line. So right here, this is the chest line, and the next line here, this is the bust point. All right, and here this is the under bust, and the next thing I'll do is to link the chest line to the shoulder line, and to do that I'll just go ahead and mark the same thing that I have on the shoulder line. I'll mark it here on the chest line. All right, and I'll just go ahead and link it up together. And for the neckline, I'm going to go ahead and use the width of 3.5 inches. All right, and the depth I'm going to use 1.5 inches. All right, and this is the neckline for the back. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and join it together like so. And for the front piece, we are going to use the depth of 7 inches. So I'll just indicate that here, and I'm going to connect the point together. Right here, this is the neckline for the back, and here for the front. And up next, I'm going to go ahead and create the shoulder slant, and to do this I'll just come here and come down by 1 inch, and I'm going to link that to the neckline area like so, in order to create our shoulder slant. And after doing that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and start marking the body measurement. And right here on the chest line, I'm just going to impute 1/4 of my bust circumference. In this case, it is 9.5. So I just indicated that, and I'm going to add 1 inch for his allowance and 1 inch for seam allowance. We are not going to be adding a zip to this dress, so that is why we're adding the 1 inch for his allowance. All right, and after doing that, I'm just going to come to the under bust here, and I'm going to impute 1/4 of my under bust circumference, and I'm going to also add 1 inch for his allowance and also 1 inch for seam allowance, and I'm just going to indicate that here. Then the next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead and connect the points together. The next thing I'm going to do is to create the armhole curve, and to do this I'll just find the midpoint of this part, and I'm going to indicate it, and up next I'll just use the curve ruler to just go ahead and create the armhole curve. And because the armhole for the front is always deeper, I'm going to come inward here by half an inch, and I'm going to just go ahead and create the front armhole curve. The next thing to do before cutting out this pattern is just to go ahead and add allowance to the shoulder slope here. So I'm just going to add half an inch allowance here, and the next thing to do is just to go ahead and also add half an inch allowance to the under bust area like so. And after doing this, I'll just go ahead and cut out the pattern. And after cutting it out, this is what you would have. So I'll just go ahead and cut another pattern exactly like this. All right, I'll just place this on a new pattern paper and I'll just go ahead and cut it out. And right here, guys, we have two identical patterns, and one is going to be for the front and the other is going to be for the back. So right here, I've just used this one for the front piece, and this one I'm going to use for the back piece, okay? And the next thing to do is just to trim off the excess on the armhole of the front piece. And after doing that, I'll just go ahead and open up the front pattern like so. All right, and as you can see here, this is our center line, okay? This part where we have the fold is our center line. So from that center line, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 5 inches outward like so. From this 5 inches point, I'm going to connect it to the neckline here. And I'll just go ahead and cut through this line. And so right here, guys, this is what our front piece is looking like, all right? And here, this is our back piece. And remember that we are going to be cutting our back piece on fold, all right? This dress doesn't have a zipper, okay? So we are going to be cutting it on fold. And the front piece, we are going to be cutting twice of this pattern, okay? We're going to cut 2 pieces of that, all right? All right, guys, so before going ahead to use the pattern to cut, you can just go ahead and come upward by 1 inch on the back, and you're going to slant it towards the side, then you're going to cut it off. All right, this is just to make sure that the waist at the back is sitting nicely. I didn't do this, and the waist of my dress was kind of low at the back. So if you do this, it is going to enable you to sit nicely, all right? So the next thing I'll just do is just to go ahead and use the pattern to cut on the material, and that's exactly what I have done right here. I've used the pattern to cut the material for both the front piece and also the back piece. So the next thing to do is just to go ahead and cut the skirt part. So first I'll just go ahead and illustrate a little bit. All right, I'm not really good at the drawings, so just let's make do with this, okay? So right here, this is the upper part with the overlap, which we just drafted, okay? And here we have the skirt part. All right, this skirt part is where we have the elastic thread, okay? And after the skirt part, we have a ruffle, a little bit of ruffle on the underneath part. All right, so this 2 parts of the skirt is where we want to cut right now. So for this dress, the length of the dress is actually 40 inches. All right, and we've already used about we've used 14 inches. That is from shoulder to the waist. All right, we've used to the underbust, I mean, we've used 14 inches, and when you minus that, you're going to have 26 inches, meaning that the remaining part of the skirt is 26 inches. All right, so for the ruffle here, I'm going to use 5 inches out of the 26 inches, all right, for the ruffle, and the remaining 21 inches is going to go for the main skirt here. I just hope you understand this, okay? So right here, guys, this is what we are going to use for the main part of the skirt, and the length of the material that I have here is actually 22 inches. Remember that 21 inches is what we needed, all right? So I added 1 inch to that, all right? And the 1 inch is going to serve as joining allowance for the top and the down part, okay? And for the wideness, all you need to do is to multiply your underbust circumference by 2, all right? And here my underbust circumference is actually 33 times 2 is going to give me 66, and that's exactly what I have here. And right now, this is the parts that we're going to use for the ruffle, all right, which is 5 inches, but here I have 6.5 inches, okay? And the 1.5 inches that is there is for seam allowance. All right, we're going to use ½ inch to join to the skirt part, and we're going to use 1 inch to fold the hem. All right, and for the wideness of it, I have 100 inches, okay? And this is what we are going to use to pleat on the skirt. So guys, in order to cut the sleeve, I have the material folded into 4 because I'm going to be cutting both sleeve together at once, okay? And I placed a basic sleeve pattern. I placed it on the material like this and I pinned it, okay? And the next thing I'll do is to come to this part here where the bicep is here, and I'm going to come outward by 1.5 inches. And from that point marked, I'm just going to connect a straight line to the hem of the sleeve. And right on the hem of the sleeve here, I'm going to come down by 4 inches, okay? Because there's going to be an elastic on the sleeve, okay? So I'll just come down by 4 inches and I'll create a straight line like so. Then I'll connect the straight line on the side to the straight line that we just marked downward here. I'm going to connect it together like this. And what I have here on the hemline here is around 10 inches, okay? And later right here on the excess that we added, we are going to add an elastic there, all right? And the next thing to do is just to go ahead and cut out the pattern. And right now, to start sewing, the next thing to do is to align the front and the back together on the good side, all right? And after doing this, the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and stitch on the shoulder, all right? And after stitching on the shoulder, we're going to also go ahead and stitch with 1 inch allowance that we left on the side. And that's exactly what I've done, guys. I've gone ahead to join the shoulders together, as you can see here, and I also went ahead to join the side. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and pipe the neckline area with a bias like so. And that's exactly what I've done, guys. I've gone ahead to use the bias to pipe the neckline area right from the front area here towards the back. Also, I piped with the bias all around the neckline area, okay? And the next thing to do is just to go ahead and align the overlap together like so, okay? Just make sure that the overlap is sitting correctly like so. And I will use a pin to hold it in place. Then I'll go ahead and stitch it together so that the overlap is in one piece. And that's exactly what I've done here, guys. I've gone ahead to stitch on the overlap, as you can see right here. And the next thing I'm going to do is to work on the main skirt. And so right here, this is the material that we cut out earlier on for the main skirt, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead and indicate 1/2 inch at the top of this material. And that 1/2 inch is going to be for the joining allowance, okay? And right after that 1/2 inch, I'm going to come down by 4 inches, okay? And I'm going to mark it on a straight line also. And right inside this 4 inches box that we just created, that is where we are going to stitch our elastic thread, okay? So you can use an interval of 1/2 inch or lesser than that, but in this video I'll just use 1/2 inch, all right? I will indicate with a chalk to make it clearer. And to make work easier for you, you are going to go ahead and run this line all the way from one end of the fabrics to the other end, all right? And we are going to go ahead and stitch on the elastic on it. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done here. I've run the elastic thread through from one end to the other end, and this is what the skirt is looking like at this moment. And the next thing to do is just to go ahead and join the sides together. So go ahead and align the sides together, right side facing right side, and we're going to stitch with 1 inch all the way down. And after joining it together, this is what the skirt looks like, all right? And the next thing to do is just to go ahead and connect the half length to the skirt part, okay? And the half length is going to look as if it's bigger, but all you need to do is just to align that part that we just joined on the skirt, align it to one of the side of the half length, all right? And you are going to stretch the skirt to make sure that it accommodates the half length. I'm going to be using a pin to pin this together. Then after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and stitch it together. And so here guys, I've gone ahead to join the half length to the skirt, and this is what our dress is looking like at this minute. Okay, so if you have watched to this moment and you find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It means a whole lot to me, and it helps this video to do well on the YouTube platform. Okay, all right, so the next thing to do guys is to work on the ruffle, and the first thing to do is to go ahead and fold the hemline of this piece, and that is exactly what I have done here. I've gone ahead to fold the hemline as you can see here, and the next thing to do is to join both ends of this piece. Okay, so align it together and join both ends together. And after doing that, the next thing to do is just to go ahead and pleat it on the main dress. I'll do this and show you what it looks like afterwards. And right here guys, this is what it looks like after adding pleat to the dress. All right, and the next thing to do is just to go ahead and add the sleeves to the dress. All right, and at this point guys, you are going to need an elastic, all right, for this part. The first thing I did was to go ahead and fold the hem of the sleeve. Okay, and after doing that, you are going to go ahead and mark about 4 inches to 4.5 inches on the wrong side of the sleeve. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark that, and after doing that, I'll just use the elastic to measure around my wrist and I'll cut it out. So right now I'll take it to the sewing machine and I will stitch the elastic on the straight line that we marked out. You might need to pleat it a little bit while stretching the elastic. Okay, so I'll just go do this and I'll show you what it looks like. And right here guys, this is what the sleeve is looking like after stitching the elastics on it. Okay, so the next thing to do is just to go ahead and fold the sleeves together like so, and we're going to stitch it together. And after doing that, the next thing we need to do is to attach it to the dress. And right here guys, I've gone ahead to attach the sleeves to the dress, and this is what the dress is looking like right about now. And this is going to be the end of the video today. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please go ahead and do that and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video.